I guess you sit right here. Okay, here we go. This is the Seeing Stone. Are you seeing anything? Or are they supposed to see you?
In Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian, The Tragedy, Grogu was able to use the Seeing Stone on Typhon. It looked as if something very significant within the Force was happening, as if Grogu was reaching out across the galaxy to every Force user, or precisely every Jedi, or perhaps even a specific Jedi that Grogu had located. It's unclear exactly how this Seeing Stone works. The inspiration behind the Seeing Stone is likely the Palantiri, the Seeing Stones, from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, of which we know Filoni is a fan. Even the hilltop where the Jedi Seeing Stone is situated on Typhon looked like a smaller version of Amon Sol, or Weathertop, that we see in the Fellowship of the Ring, where Frodo was stabbed by the Witch King's Morgul blade. Weathertop, during the height of the Númenóreans, was built to house one of the 7 Seeing Stones spread across the kingdoms. In the Lord of the Rings, a Palantir could be used to see into distant places and communicate between different Palantir, as well as show visions that can be influenced by the users of the stones. It's not clear how the Seeing Stone that has been introduced in Star Wars works, but I imagine it's similar to that of the Lord of the Rings. Grogu stops his meditation shortly before being snatched away by the Dark Troopers, leaving us guessing whether he was successful or not. It's possible Grogu was able to either receive a vision of where he must go to find a master, or may have received a reply from another Force user, which is why he stopped his meditation. Arguably, it could also be that he received no response or vision and was simply exhausted, but this wasn't the case later on when he was using the Force to throw about 2 stormtroopers. Maybe he didn't receive any immediate response, but somebody has received or sensed the call and is on their way to him. So the big question now is who in the galaxy could have received Grogu's call? Now there are a number of candidates who could have possibly received this Force call, and I have made a short list of likely candidates who could possibly show up in The Mandalorian to become Grogu's Jedi mentor. First off is Ahsoka. She has already made it clear she will not train Grogu, though this is not the first time a Jedi has rejected an apprentice only to end up training them. So her decision may later change, perhaps even as a result of discovering Moff Gideon's plans for Grogu, or if Moff Gideon is actually working for Grand Admiral Thrawn, which would bring Ahsoka back into the plot. We know Ahsoka has an upcoming series which is likely to be the successor to the Mandalorian series, so there is a very good chance that Grogu will be joining her. Ahsoka expressed a concern of Grogu's fear and attachment being similar to that of suspectedly her former master Anakin's, but it's not clear if she knows of Anakin's redemption, and perhaps this may change her decision. But we can rule out Ahsoka for the time being, because they teased the appearance of another Jedi or Force user, and I presume they're not subverting expectations, so it's very likely we'll be getting another character. Luke Skywalker is the most obvious candidate, and though he is the most notorious Jedi alive in this era, it's highly unlikely in my opinion, I'll go so far as to say a resounding no, that he will have anything to do with this story or Grogu. The sequels have cemented Luke's fate, making him a character that is very unlikely to ever make an appearance in this series. Luke's unexpected and somewhat tragic turn from the Jedi path and rejection of the Force makes him unsuitable to be Grogu's Jedi Master. We know Luke's apprentices are all killed, which isn't good news for Grogu. The poor little guy has already survived one Jedi purge during Order 66, coming out of it traumatized. I doubt he would be Jedi material after surviving another tragic incident such as that which befalls Luke's Jedi Temple. Also, if Luke takes Grogu, it would likely mean the exit of Grogu from the story. So definitely not Luke in my opinion, though if I am right and Luke doesn't make an appearance, it does raise an important question of why the galaxy's foremost Jedi failed to sense Grogu's call, especially since Luke is actively building a Jedi Order during this time. So maybe he might make an appearance or be referenced, but I'm sure he will not be taking Grogu. Next we have Ezra. Now Ezra is actually a very good candidate, and the most likely in my opinion. Ezra and Grogu would make a good pairing. since Ezra has met Yoda before and understands how powerful Grogu can potentially become. Ezra was also much like Grogu before Kanan found him. He was frightened, scared, so it's as if we've come full circle. It's yet unclear if Ezra has returned from deep space, after we saw him plummet into the unknown, taking Thrawn with him in the finale of Rebels, which took place some years before A New Hope. He has likely been in the unexplored regions, perhaps even the Chiss Ascendancy, during all this time. The last time we saw Ahsoka in Rebels, she was searching for Ezra, and it's likely this is why she is searching for Thrawn now, which ties both the Mandalorian plot and Rebels nicely together. So all of this makes Ezra a very likely candidate to become Grogu's Jedi Master. It's inevitable Ezra will be showing up regardless if he'll become Grogu's mentor or not. I believe it's obvious by now that Rebels will be continued as a live action series, which is very likely to be the Ahsoka series. The success of The Mandalorian has no doubt given Disney confidence in this Star Wars series format. With several upcoming series including Kenobi, Lando, and Cassian Andor, it makes sense for the continuation of Rebels to also be live action. Also, I don't think it's a coincidence Filoni has been getting the full 101 guide on filming and directing if Disney doesn't have future plans for him to be more involved in the directing. The Mandalorian will eventually come to its end, likely with Moff Gideon being defeated, the Darksaber being reclaimed, and with possibly a new Mandalore who will unite the scattered Mandalorian clans, re-establish Mandalore to its former glory, and lead the new era of Mandalorians. But it won't be all over. It's likely the story will continue in Ahsoka series with Ezra and Thrawn, along with the rest of the Rebels cast including Grogu, which would mean that The Mandalorian was in a way a spin-off to Rebels. My next candidate is Windu. I'm not a big fan of bringing back Mace Windu. I believe he should remain dead. Too many characters have already been brought back after seemingly dying on screen. I don't want this to become an established thing in Star Wars. We've already had so far Darth Maul, Palpatine, and Boba Fett. All have been brought back after being decisively killed off. Even Fennec Shand died and was brought back. Sometimes it works and sometimes it's a bit much. I won't go into it, but some fans are excited by this new trend in Star Wars.
It's alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
George Lucas has reportedly said that Windu's body was never found, which raised suspicions that he never died. The questions of how, what and where does introduce a load of issues for the Star Wars timeline, but it can be all resolved by the plot device created by Filoni in Rebels. Of course, I'm speaking about the world between worlds and not the unexplored regions. We know that during Rebels, Ezra was able to pull Ahsoka through into the world between worlds, rescuing her from Darth Vader. A possibility is she may have returned to the world between worlds in her search for answers, which would explain why she doesn't emerge again until the final episodes of Rebels, which takes place after Return of the Jedi. Hence why we never see Ahsoka during the original trilogy. It's quite possible Ahsoka, whilst travelling the world between worlds, was able to snatch Windu before he fell to his death. I imagine she wanted to see and understand Anakin's fall to the dark side, and this led her to this scene where at the same time she manages to rescue Windu, believing it to be the will of the Force. This is one possibility in which Windu survived. I think it's a strong possibility that he will show up, not only to get fans excited, but because of the dynamic shared between Windu and Yoda would be reflected poetically here if Windu takes Grogu as his apprentice. Therefore, Windu's role towards Yoda during the prequels will be somewhat reversed with Windu and Grogu. And since the sequels never established a new Jedi Order, who better than this pair? It would be almost like old times for Windu. Though, I'm skeptical how Windu would fit into this era. We've become accustomed to his character as one of the leading Jedi Masters of the Council during the prequels. I feel his character and persona best suit with the backdrop of the Jedi Council and Order, with him being a figure of authority and respect. This is where he's suited best. However, Obi-Wan and Yoda were successfully portrayed as both Jedi Masters in the prequels and hermits in the original trilogy, so we'll see how this will work for Windu. Cal Kestis. In conclusion of the game Jedi Fallen Order, Cal discovers a holocron that can potentially lead him to Force-sensitive children. Though he destroys it, he was on the path of restoring the Jedi Order, so he's already in the field of searching for new Jedi. So it's a possibility, and bringing him to live action would be easier than they did for Ahsoka, since he was based on the voice actor. It would be interesting to see Cal brought into live action. Quillian Voss, he was never reportedly captured or killed, so it's highly likely he is out there somewhere, though I doubt he would be showing up simply because there exist stronger candidates than him. However, it's surprising no fans have been calling for his return. Let's hope he makes an appearance in the Kenobi series, since he and Kenobi were such a fun contrast. So far I've looked at obvious candidates, so now I'll be looking at a few wildcards. Something that would be unexpected. First off is Yaddle. Though legend has covered her death and she was absent after the Phantom Menace and never appeared again, it's still possible that she could be alive. This could only make sense if Yaddle is Grogu's mother. Now, I'm strictly not a fan of this theory, and to be honest, I've only contemplated it as a joke about Yoda and Yaddle. However, the more I think about Grogu's age, the fact he was present at the Jedi Temple, and that Yoda was no doubt aware of him, makes this comical theory suddenly a viable possibility to Grogu's origins. But again, I hope they don't go down this path. My next wildcard would be an ex-Inquisitor. Dark side users have so far been absent from the galaxy. This could potentially be a really interesting plot twist and could set up a new story arc for Season 3 of The Mandalorian. It's likely at least one Inquisitor survived beyond the fall of the Empire and the destruction of the Sith. Also, they teased a Mandalorian vs Jedi fight, but it never evolved into anything serious, so it will be fun to see a Force user go all out against the Mandalorian and perhaps provide Ahsoka a challenge, perhaps even Barriss Offee, who has previous history with Ahsoka and that Filoni purposely did keep alive. My final wildcard is that Din Djarin is actually Force sensitive, and the Force has purposefully brought him together with Grogu to begin their own unique journey to rediscover the Force, much like the earliest pioneering Jedi did so many millennia ago on Typhon. This would mean that they were destined to be together, and will continue their journey beyond the Mandalorian series to perhaps establish some hybrid of Jedi and Mandalorian path. That's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, and please comment and share your thoughts and ideas. Hopefully I will produce more content. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. We'll see how it goes. Right now I'm just a fan sharing my thoughts and ideas with fellow fans. Thanks for watching everybody, and I'll see you again.